Thanks again for joining.
All right. Welcome, everyone. We're doing some breath awareness exercises. Lower dantian, or the Agni in yoga. A place where we hold our unresolved issues in the gut. And all health stems from the gut or starts in the gut. So this is an area also that we want to just really nurture and replenish. Drawing the belly forward into the hands on the inhale, just breathing quietly in through the nose. Exhaling, draw the belly back towards the spine. Inhale, inflating the belly. Exhaling, deflating the belly. Isolating the movement of the breath just to the belly. Perhaps closing the eyes or a soft focus as you just notice how you're breathing today. Is it all in the chest or in the front body? See if you can draw the breath now in as you inhale, inflating the belly. Exhale into the back body. Inhaling, belly rises. Exhaling, belly falls. There's no hurry. Anytime we can come back to the breath, we move away from the busy mind, perhaps even the chaos surrounding us. It's a nice way to come to focus on a single point and really start to regulate our emotions. Just through the simple exercise of breathing in and out of the nose, inflating the belly, exhaling, drawing the belly back in towards the spine. Now I invite you to do the opposite technique here. And it's going to feel a little strange, but I just want you to get a sense of how this may feel when we're very limited with the breath. So as we inhale now, I invite you to draw the belly in. Exhaling, expand the belly. So it's the opposite of how we normally breathe. Inhaling and exhaling. As we expand the belly, we're exhaling. As we inhale, we're drawing the belly in, the navel towards the spine or the wall behind us. So when we do this, we're only getting 20% of the oxygen. I used to breathe like this for about 35 years on and off with chronic asthma. This is how an asthmatic breathes. When they inhale, they're inhaling with the belly coming in. When they exhale, the belly's coming out. So they're really just using the chest and not the full diaphragm. So let's come back to our normal pattern or the correct way of breathing. As we inhale, the belly inflates. Exhaling, the belly draws back to the spine. Full diaphragmatic breath, chest rises, belly rises, exhaling all the way into the back body. See if you can send a breath all the way up into the shoulder heads in the back. The lungs almost traveling all the way up into the shoulders. Inhaling, belly rises. Exhaling into the kidneys in the back body as you draw the navel back towards the wall behind you or to the spine. Wonderful. And then just relax the arms. Just shake them loose for a moment. We're going to do an exercise now for the wrists. This is the protocol for carpal tunnel syndrome that you might see a physician give you or any wrist clinic. And we make a firm fist and we make a firm fist down. And we're holding for about 10 seconds. So I invite you to inhale. We'll use some yogic breath practices here. Inhaling and hold. Exhaling and release, shaking it out. So if you're spending a lot of time on the computer, on the keyboard, if you're a guitarist, or if you like to play piano, there's a wonderful exercise to do a lot. Or if you're lifting something heavy in your life, if you're swinging a hammer, or just anything where you're using your wrists a lot. There's 9 small bones in the wrist that articulate in all directions, helping the hand and wrist move. They need to have a bit of love and a bit of blood flow into those areas. And this is a way in which we can increase the blood flow through the medial nerve here that runs all the way through the center of the wrist, through the tunnel, the carpal tunnel. Make a firm fist down and release. Now we're going to make a firm fist up, inhaling and hold. And release. Let's bring some posture awareness into this movement as we spread the toes wide, plant the widespread toes into the earth, connect through the eye of the sole of the feet, and send a line of energy up through the spine, out through the crown of the head, out through the outstretched palms, making a firm fist up and releasing. One more time, inhaling. And releasing. As we take the hands to the shoulder heads, think of the pinky here is forward. As we rotate the pinky internally, we lengthen the arms. Sorry, that's an external rotation. So now we're internally rotating the pinky back towards the shoulders, bending deeply at the elbows, externally rotating the pinky as the arms unfurl. Internal rotation. Introducing the breath, inhaling, exhaling, as we bend deeply at the elbows, just the wrists moving back towards the shoulders. Draw the shoulder blades back and down, spread toes wide, lengthen out through the crown of the head, grow long, tall, and wide. Wonderful, and relax the arms. They've just done a lot of work, so just loosen the shoulders, rolling each shoulder back a few times. Wonderful. As we come to hip width, shoulder width apart, we start with our stances, feet into the earth firmly, spread toes wide once again. Place widespread toes back down to the earth. As we inhale, the arms come out to cactus position, goalpost arms sometimes referred to. Exhaling, making a firm fist, the forearms come together and the chin slightly tucks. Or the tin slightly chucks, I nearly said. Inhaling, exhaling. You can think of this movement as letting go as well. So as the fingers unfurl, imagine that you're holding on to something. It could be something emotional or physical that you're really holding on to here. And we're just being with that for a moment, and then we're going to let go. Release. So maybe there's some anguish or some anxiety in your life. Think about holding that, and then through this physical action, we're going to release. Exhaling as we draw the forearms together. Inhaling as we have a nice large chest, full expression of the heart. Exhaling. And now we're going to add a rotation. So a slight twist to the left will mirror you. Coming back to the midline, firm fist, forearms come together, chin comes into chest, slightly deeper squat, if that's available for you today. And you're just doing the best of what you have today, right? That's all we can ask of ourselves in any given moment. So perhaps the squat is not so deep today. Perhaps it's just to here. That's a fine pose too. If you want to challenge yourself, perhaps raising the heels off the earth. Inhaling, toes spread wide, toes elevate, fingers spread wide. Exhaling back to the midline, heels raise. Two more breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. Wonderful. Hands come up in a clearing gesture and slowly travel down about an inch apart down through the midline. Imagine the face of a clock where we have 9 o'clock out here to the right and 3 o'clock out to the left, 12 o'clock being above us, 6 o'clock being down below us. So we come to this sense of relaxation and we're moving the torso and arms. So we're lightly down. The clock face would be about 7 and 5 o'clock with the arms. We come up to about 8 and 4 o'clock. Up to about shoulder height, 9, 3, to about 10 and 2 o'clock as we begin to look up at the leading arm. All the way up to 11 and 1, and perhaps up all the way to 12 o'clock up to the heavens, and then slowly back down through the face of the clock. Perhaps closing the eyes or a soft focus as we come back up through the face of the clock. Arms bending deeply at the elbows. Or traveling east, we glide, transitioning the body. From side to side. Slowly back down. As we take 2 fingers now, this is our focus here. We're going to focus right atop of the second finger. And we're taking a nice wide stance now to kibahach or goddess stance. Slight tuck of the tailbone, slight tuck of the pelvis. So there's this action here of a pelvic tilt. As we inhale, both arms sweep up and we set our 2 fingers as our focus. And we're drawing a bow back through the front of the throat. Above the fist comes above the shoulder and we look up over the second finger. Both hands now and arms sweep to the other side. We set our 2 fingers and draw an imaginary bow. Relax the face, relax the shoulders, relax the jaw. Single point of focus right atop of the second finger. Other side. Moving with the breath, inhaling as we draw the imaginary bow across the heart and set our focus right atop of the second finger. Last one. So we come back to standing. The right hand sweeps to the lower back. The left hand now comes the back of the hand forward, and the palm faces to the outer wall and thumb faces down. Slight rotation in the spine. As the palm now faces up, as we extend the arm up to the heavens, we glide back to center. And the arm moves across the body as we set our focus, a point of drishti, right over the middle finger. Hand comes down through the midline. Moving with grace, back of hand to kidney. Palm faces out, thumb down. Palm faces up as it glides us back to the midline, to center, and comes across the body. Nice lateral stretch here. So we set our focus atop of the middle finger for a moment of clarity, a moment of sattva. Let's do that one more time on each side. Slowly back down through the midline. Well done. So we take now both hands. One faces down and one faces up. As we inhale, we raise the arm and look up at the Om Mirror You, the left hand. And the right hand's descending down through the midline. So both palms are in opposite directions, one facing down to the earth, the other up to the heavens. But we set our drishti, our point of focus, right at the top of the middle finger up to the heavens. As we draw the hand back down through the midline, the opposite hand raises. Slight rotation in the spine here. Twist as we draw the eye of the palm down to the earth, releasing trapped and stagnant energy, and the eye of the palm up to the heavens. Hands come back. One hand glides in front of the other. The stork spreads its wings. Inhaling as we rise. Exhaling as we glide back to the heart. And think about nourishing the heart on the exhale. Inhaling. Exhaling. Wonderful. As we come back to center, both hands come back down through the midline. Wonderful. As we come to a balance exercise, I invite you to take the hands, let's take your hands and the palms into the kidneys today. Kidneys being the most demanding of our blood flow in the body, using 75% of all blood, more than the brain requires. So we want to nourish the kidneys. Inhaling, chest gets bigger, heart gets bigger. As we draw the weight onto the right leg, and we're going to extend out through the heel. And then drawing the foot back to the knee, we extend out through the toes and begin to circle the ankle around in one direction. Find a point of focus. Perhaps it's on the earth, about 4 feet to 6 feet in front of you. A couple of meters. Perhaps it's at the horizon line, a single point of focus as you rotate the ankle in the opposite direction. Drawing the foot back to the knee, we're going to externally rotate the leg very slowly. Find a point of focus now as we extend out through the heel. We draw the foot back to the knee and then extend out through the toes and begin to circle the ankle. And in the opposite direction. Just doing the best with what you have today. Placing the feet back down to earth. Opposite side as we take the foot towards the knee or the heel towards the knee, extend out through the heel. Inhaling, exhaling out through the toes, begin to circle the ankle and foot. Single point of focus, steady mind, steady body. The opposite direction. Foot comes back to the knee, externally rotating. Find a point of focus, stand out through the heel, stand out through the toes and begin to circle the foot. And in the opposite direction a few times. Developing leg strength and balance and releasing with a couple of hip circles. And the opposite direction a few times. Drawing the hands to the heart in prayer, fingers into one another firmly. And we're going to bend deeply at the wrist and transition the weight to one side. And the hands stay fairly close to the torso, to the chest or the front of the body. We're maybe about 6 inches or 300 millimeters away from the chest. I've got to go both imperial and metric. Just coming back to returning to the breath. We're transitioning the weight from side to side. Another wonderful exercise for the wrist. We set our focus now right over the middle finger. Come into a moving meditation as we really draw a single point of focus atop of the wrist, bending deeply at the elbows and wrists. And moving the weight from side to side. Make the movement less big, more gradual as we return to the midline. Set perhaps an intention for your day as you go about your daily activities. What is your intention today? And if there's no intention there, that's fine too. Just let your experience be as it is, without judgment. As we hand over to Meadow Dosso. And I'll give you the microphone now.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, we're going to continue with the nice energy that John has cultivated for us. Let's start with keeping our feet about hip distance apart. And we will work on a Qigong form called pulsing. So draw your hips back as you bring your arms forward. And let's come back down. Try to develop some flow. As we move and draw the hips back, both arms come down. See if we could find ourselves into that zone where we're fluid and rhythmic, creative, and filled with energy. Two more. And from here, we're going to move into an animal frolic, the bear. So let's bring our hands where our palms face up to the sky. And we're going to bring our arms forward as we bend our knees slightly. And then let's swim. This is called, the Qigong will call the bear swims. Inhale as we extend our arms and exhale. The bear stands for the water element. It is a very strong and fierce animal. They're known to be one of the animals that can conserve their energy. The water element symbolizes spring. Two more. The bear swims. From here, we're going to move into a form called exhibit claw and display your wings. Let's bring both arms in front of us, about an inch apart from each other, and bring arms up to the sky. Bend your elbows, bend your knees, and break some claws. From here, let's bring our claws forward, reach our arms forward. And at the end of your exhale, let's just soften and create wings, expanding your fingers. Your fingers are raised to the sky. And then let's draw your fingers back. Your knees come back up, and let's create claws. Inhale, come out, draw your arms forward, contracting, and then relax your hands, creating wings. Think of yourself as a bird as you retract your fingers back. Your knees come back up. Your claws come on. Let's bring our arms forward, our claws forward, and at the tail end of your exhale, relax the fingers and the hands. And let's come back. This form of movement is called pendiculation. And studies show that it may be a really safe way to stretch with the slow movements. The brain allows your brain to propriocept much better through contraction, slow contraction, and relaxation. Draw your arms back towards you. Claws. Inhale, let's bring our claws forward. And wings back. One more. Claws forward. Relax the fingers. And let's retract back into our body. Let's sweep our arms out and up as we regulate our chi. Just clearing, regulating chi. Inhale, bring both hands up. Posture down 10 and exhale. Come back down. Once more, inhale, palms rise. Exhale, palms come back facing the earth right over the lower dantian. From here, we're moving to a adaptive version of Warrior One in yoga. So let's bring our left foot forward. And our stance is about hip distance apart. If you could have the back heel on the ground, that is preferred, better for a solid stance. If that's hard for you, maybe bring the stance a little bit narrower. We're going to have both your front foot, your front leg straight, your back leg straight. And as both hands will have our fingers pointing away from you. Now, as we bend our front knee, our fingers point downwards to the earth. And then we're going to sweep our arms forward, keeping the fingers facing down. And then let's bring our fingers up and our knees come back to a straight position. Inhale. And exhale. Our focus today was on wrists and hands. So again, we're doing some wrist movements. Something that, again, we don't normally do every day. So this is very good, especially if you're on a computer or actually even driving for a long period of time. One last movement here. And then let's bring the front foot back to meet the back foot. And let's take the other foot, bring it forward. You start your hands in with a position of your fingers away from you. Now as you bend your knee, let's sweep the wrists forward and back. Bend your knee, your front knee. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, back. Relax the shoulders. Let's just flow. 2 more. Let's make our front foot comes back to me back. Let's come back to, again, another variation of Warrior One. Let's bring our foot forward. This time, let's create our wrists and our fists. And then let's push forward as our knee bends, our front knee bends. And then create fists. Let's push forward. Have nice, flexible hands and fingers by the time we're done with this. Forward. Great. Wrists, elbows in. And let's do one more. Now we have another side. Let's bring our foot back and bring the right foot forward. Great. Your fists. Push out as your knee bends. Inhale and exhale. Relax the shoulders. Elbows come in. Synchronize the breath with the movement. Breathing slow. Our last move. From here we'll move to goddess or horse stance. So your feet are slightly just wider than your shoulders. Just be aware of your knees. Make sure they're tracking, if they can, to the second toe. Again, we're all built differently, so if a wide stance doesn't work for you, just narrow your stance. We're going to do some wrist rotations. So let's rotate our wrists, bring it up to the sky. And then let's circle those wrists in the opposite direction as we bend our knees. Inhale, let's come up. Circle those wrists. And exhale, counter that circle. Inhale. And exhale, bend the knees. Just a soft bend of your knees. Your tailbone's facing the earth. And exhale. One more. And exhale, bend the knees. From here, let's bring both hands into prayer position. So both hands come to our heart. Slight bend of your knee. So you can just place the hands so there's a little pressure between both hands as they face each other. As we inhale, let's lift slightly up to the sky, lift the body, the torso, and as we exhale, let's slowly bend the knees, bringing a little pressure to both hands. Inhale, let's come on. Lift from the crown of your head, exhale. Come back down. Inhale. And if you want to challenge yourself, I invite you to just bend your knees a little lower, if that feels right for you today. So we're coming into a deep squat, but be mindful of the position of your knees. And exhale. One more. Make sure the tailbone is down to the earth. Well, let's bring our toes so they face slightly forward. We're going to fold forward, bend your knees slightly, and interlace your fingers as we fold forward, and then bring your fingers up. And then let's bring the palms of your hand up to the sky. Let's scoop forward. You're welcome to keep the knees bent, or knees straight. If your knees are straight, you have more of a hamstring stretch. This is a great movement to stretch the front of your body, the back of your body, and we're also moving the hand and the wrist in different positions. Inhale, sweep arms up. Exhale, release. Inhale, let's come up. Slight back bend, exhale, release, come forward. Let's do this once more. Inhale. And exhale, let's fold forward. Excellent. Let's just clear once more. I invite you now to come down to the earth. If you have a blanket or a pillow, we started with some diaphragmatic breathing, and we're going to end with some diaphragmatic breathing. So I have a blanket here, and just give you some time to grab your pillows or your props. So John spoke about breathing and breathing from the diaphragm earlier. The diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle, and it sits right below your rib cage. So it's basically domed this way. And as we inhale, the diaphragm flattens, and it brings air into your lungs. And as we exhale, it releases air from the lungs, and it comes back to its position, which is a dome shape. So we're going to end with a series of exercises just so you can have a good foundation for how the diaphragm works and how you're breathing from the diaphragm, how you can bring air into your lungs. So I invite you to close your eyes and bring your hands to the bottom of your rib cage. And let's relax the shoulders. As we breathe in, expand the diaphragm and just feel the chest and the ribs expanding. And as you inhale, feel the belly contracting back. Inhale, feel the expansion. And exhale, belly coming back to your spine. Let's do one more inhalation this way. And exhale. Now from here, can we create a dome shape with your hands for your diaphragm? So place both hands, stack them on top of each other, or place one hand over the other, and then just create a dome and place that right below your solar plexus. And as you inhale, see if you can spread your elbows out. So as your hands flatten. And exhale, create a dome shape. And inhale, feel that air coming into the lungs. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Do this on your own, at your own pace. Just sipping as you inhale and sipping your breath as you exhale. If your eyes are closed, we can just relax our hands back onto our thighs and bringing that awareness to your breath as you inhale and as you exhale. And on your next inhale, see if you can seal in this practice, bringing in an inner resource, a feeling of well-being. See if we can seal that into our tissues, into our entire body. Feeling safe as we go about our day or evening. Resting in well-being. Thank you all for joining us today, and have a wonderful day and evening. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Thanks for joining
Bye.
us.